This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Peninsula Regional Medical Center.
What do Bret Michaels, Nick Jonas, Halle Berry, and Salma Hayek have in common? Well, they're all celebrities, but they are also among the 25 million Americans living with diabetes. And these days, a diagnosis of diabetes doesn't mean your life is over. In fact, it could mean you're going to live a longer life. Our next guest is Regina Kundal, a nurse practitioner who specializes in diabetes with Peninsula Regional Medical Center. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is a big part of your life because you've been living with diabetes most of your life. Tell us your story.
Actually, I was diagnosed, it'll be on May 1st, 35 years, and I was 15 years old, so don't do the math. At the time I was told that it didn't really matter what kind of control you had, that you were going to die early and you were going to have complications, so just do your best. And in fact, the treatment back then was pretty barbaric compared to what I know it as today. And one of my dear memories from those early days was back then we only had one shot a day that we took, and I was concerned that I can't remember if I took my shot today or not.
Right.
So my dad actually crafted this metal device that was for each day of the week that I would put an empty syringe into. Every Sunday I would fill it up, and then that way I would know whether I already gave my shot that day.
Oh.
Nowadays I would be on 4 shots a day or an insulin pump, and I've actually worn an insulin pump for over 18 years.
Oh, really?
And I feel very fortunate to be able to do that. I don't think I'd ever want to go back to shots.
Yeah. Now, anybody can get diabetes, men or women, but women, it's a little different. The diagnosis is different. Why is that?
Well, with women, you've got things like pregnancy that you have to consider. You want to make sure that you have a healthy pregnancy and have a healthy baby, and it's a lot more work when you have diabetes and you're pregnant. The other thing is that women tend to maybe not take as good a care of themselves and focus on their family, and really diabetes is a self-management disease, and so therefore you have to self-manage, which means you have to also spend some time on yourself.
And heart disease.
And absolutely, the #1 killer of women is heart disease. 1 in 3 women die of heart disease, whereas 1 in 9 women die of breast cancer. And we all hear about breast cancer, but we really need to do it better with heart disease. And diabetes is very well connected to heart disease. As a diabetic, I'm probably not going to die of diabetes. I'm going to die of heart disease. And so I'm doing things to try to protect my heart and keep it healthy.
All right, now there are 2 different types of diabetes. There's type 1 and type 2.
Yes.
Tell us, what is type 1 diabetes?
The difference between the 2 types is not whether you got it as a kid or whether you got it as an adult. It really is how did it develop. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune condition where the body sees the pancreas cells as foreign, and therefore it kills those cells, or at least weakens them, and they're not able to make any insulin at all. So you need insulin from the get-go. Type 2 diabetes, your pancreas is still making insulin, but it's not able to use it as well. Your body's more resistant to it, so you need to make more of it to do the same job, and eventually your pancreas will burn out, and at some point, if you live long enough, you're going to need to take insulin as well, because you're just not going to be able to keep up with it.
Now, there are symptoms that we can look out for when it comes to diabetes. What are they?
For type 1, you have increased thirst, you have increased hunger, you can lose a lot of weight and whatnot. You also, would be more fatigued and a little cranky, and as a 15-year-old, I guess I was all that. Sorry, Mom. And then with type 2 diabetes, you have any of those symptoms, usually not so much of that as what you see as the frequent infections, blurred vision, some eye disturbances, and things that tell you that there's been some long-term damage already starting in with the type 2 diabetes. It's then affecting you that way.
Right. No one wants to get a diagnosis of diabetes, but as we said at the beginning of the segment, it doesn't turn your life upside down, does it?
No, and what I really like to help people do is, there's certain things we know we need to do to be healthy, and just really focus on making a change to be healthier, whether you have diabetes or not. It's not the diabetes you're mad at, it's the fact that you have to watch what you eat and exercise and things like that. And really, if you do those things, you'll have probably a healthier life than if you didn't have diabetes.
Right.
And I like to help people figure out how do you do the things to take care of yourself that really doesn't stop your life from having a normal routine, but how do you really take care of your diabetes?
There are some myths about diabetes, and we just want to debunk them right now. And the first one is that if you eat too much sugar, you're going to get diabetes, right?
Well, for type 1, that really isn't true because, again, it's an autoimmune reaction. They think maybe a viral illness, triggered it off. I had mumps the year before I got diagnosed. But for type 2, it kind of can be because if you're obese, you're more at risk for type 2 diabetes. You don't necessarily get diabetes, but you're more at risk. So if you're eating a lot of Ho-Hos and Twinkies and things like that, then yeah, and that certainly can lead to that.
Another one, women with diabetes should not get pregnant.
Absolutely false. There's so many good medicines that we have nowadays and the healthcare, the knowledge we have, and I have a wonderful 19-year-old son.
Okay, and people with diabetes are more likely to get colds and other illnesses.
It doesn't affect their immune system, but certainly if you are sick, it does affect your diabetes and makes it more difficult to care for your diabetes. So we want to do things like get flu shots and things like that to avoid getting sick if you can, because it makes your sugars go up and it's a little more difficult.
All right, Regina, thank you so much. So much good information. And if you would like more information on diabetes, including a link to a diabetes risk test that you can take, or more information about PRMC, go to our website, delmarvalife.com, click on the show tab. Someone else living with diabetes, TV chef Paula Deen. Her diagnosis made headlines, especially since her famous recipes aren't considered the healthiest. Still ahead on Delmarva Life, her 2 sons have changed that. We talk with Bobby and Jamie Deen about how getting mom healthy again is a family affair. And one way for us to get healthy is to shed a few extra pounds. Dr. Oz tells us how.
Hi, I'm Dr. Oz. Shedding even a small amount of weight can make a big impact on your health. To drop 5 pounds, drink water. People who drink 6.5 cups a day consume 200 less calories. Eat fish twice a week and eat high fiber green vegetables like cabbage and broccoli to rev up your metabolism.